If you read and you listened every day, you read English. Then why can't you speak English when somebody speaks to you or when you come onto the stage? The reason is because you are not thinking in English. So, this is the third point I'm making. Now you please check up your minds also. Start seeing whether you ever think in English. All of us try to think in the language we know best. Self-communication. Communication skills you have learned, so self-communication is English. No, it is Telugu, madam, it is. We can't think in English. Whenever you are thinking from today, try to translate your thoughts into English. This will also be a very good exercise. So listening every day, reading every day, listening many times, same passage, reading many times,
Same passage. Is that clear to everybody? What I'm saying, is it clear? It is loud, I can hear, in my ears I can hear. But loudness does not mean clarity. I can shout at the top of my voice in a language you don't know. You won't understand one word also. Therefore, your ability to understand. English is excellent, but you feel nervous to speak. Is that right? You feel very comfortable listening to English, but you feel uncomfortable in speaking. Many are there. Last year's impact, they told me, they SMS, they wrote to me saying, "Madam, we cannot understand English." Is there anybody here who cannot understand English? Then you have to do something else. I'm talking now only to people who understand well, but whose speaking is a problem, am I right? Before diagnosis, we have to tell what is our problem. Doctor, I have a headache. Doctor, I have pain in my hands. So now we have diagnosis. Why is my English so poor? The reason is because I never speak. You cannot speak English unless you listen and read regularly for at least 6 months. Impact is getting over in May. Till December, you practice, then you call me and tell me whether you improved or not. If one day you didn't practice, don't sleep on that day, don't eat on that day unless you practice English, don't do anything else. Can you have so much motivation for 6 months, say, "Oh, impact is over, we are happily going home, no need to practice English"? Very good. You will learn. You have learned many things in impact. All those attitudes will be good. One boy said beautifully that he will return to society what impact has given him. Wonderful thought. But remember that unless you practice it, this doesn't become good. All people are very good when they start. Slowly they get absorbed in society. Today, there is a word called scam, have you heard? When I was in school, I didn't know what the word scam meant. There were no scams at that time. Today, if you ask a second-class child, "What is the meaning of the word scam?" the child immediately tells you the meaning, because today there is only scam. In 2005, there was a tsunami. Before that, we didn't know what tsunami was. We read in geography book, tsunami means so-and-so, then we saw tsunami. Okay, finished. So language comes with experience. You are not experiencing language because you are not practicing it. The reason is because you have no confidence in English. Am I right? You feel no confidence. Somebody is telling you about self-confidence. Did they give a lecture, sir? Did they give any self-confidence lecture? Self-confidence? So now you add self-confidence plus English, and you see what? Self-confidence, first thing it tells you is that you must have a word called self-worth. Self-worth means I can do it. I am capable. Don't think, oh, I can't learn English. It's not possible for me to learn English. Don't think like that. All of you think that I can learn English, and learning means speaking and writing. Now, many of you are writing. I can see. Which language are you writing in? Then why do you say you don't know English? You know you can't say when you're writing in English, you're not writing in your mother tongue, you're writing in English. Very often I tell you that if you want to write, please write in Telugu, because pronunciation is very good when we write in our mother tongue. English pronunciation is very difficult. So always write in your mother tongue. It is very easy. So we have the advantage, 2, 3 languages we know, so we can learn English. Always remember that if we can learn by teaching ourselves, that is best. Don't depend on sir, or don't depend on me, or any of the other sirs. You do what is called as self-learning. Self-learning means practicing for yourself. So how will you practice speaking if you have no friends? You speak to yourself. You know, have you seen people playing chess with themselves? Once they take white coin, they put, then they go there, then they put black coin, again they come here. So you please do like that. You talk to yourself, but talk English only. Use the language English. Somebody said you have learned interview skills, so you can practice interview. Once be interviewer, please tell me about yourself. Then go and sit on that chair and you speak in English at the interview. Even when you are appearing for an interview for a job which requires less English, the interview is in English. Many of you will appear for state services, central services. There you will work in your own region. You will go to remote village in our state. You will only speak English, all Telugu, all your life. But interview is in English. If you don't get the job, how will you work? So for all these purposes, we need good English. That is why speaking is important. Use your cell phone again, record your speeches, and listen to your speech. If you feel shy, others are listening, you feel bad. So you speak to yourself, then you listen to your speech. If you have a video camera, like they are doing, record your own speech, see how you look. You know, when you're speaking English, are you shivering like that? Nervous, very scared. You know, English is terrible. The reason is because we have not practiced. All the people who speak their mother tongue are better at their mother tongue. Whole world, you know, the Germans speak better German. They don't speak English. The French speak better French. They don't speak English. India, at least we speak English. That is why we are getting benefit. But today, China is overtaking India. China didn't know English. English teachers from India are teaching Chinese students. But China is capturing the market. You are not getting a chance. So, do you really want a good carrier? Then you learn English by practicing to speak. Every day you must speak at least for 5 or 10 minutes, loudly and clearly. Listen every day. 5 or 10 minutes, but 5 or 10 times. Read every day, loudly. You know, so that you can hear 1 page, but minimum 5 times, not less than 5 times. All of you must listen, read 5 times, same passage, so that English comes into the head. Then speak in English. If you don't know good English, speak wrong English. 4 words English, 1 word Telugu accepted, no problem. After 1 month, you'll see that you are reducing Telugu content. English is becoming more. After 6 months, you will become better. First, you have to improve what is called as fluency. When you are speaking English, you must improve 2 things. First, you must improve fluency. means to think and speak at once. What we do is we think, then we translate, then we speak. So gap comes between thinking and speaking. When they ask you to speak in your mother tongue, you can speak very well, fluently, very comfortable. When they say English, there is full silence. Nobody wants to speak because we have so many ideas in the mind. We don't have any words. Suppose somebody asks you, how did you like the impact course? They are asking you every day. So you say, I will tell you after 1 month. In fact, is now. What is the impact of the impact course? I will tell you about the impact after 1 month. Will the impact come after 1 month, or is it impact now? We are going to think for 1 month good, nice English sentences, then we are going to tell. That is not correct. Fluency implies as soon as program is over, you must be able to tell. So now, look at the gap between your mind and your speech. When you are speaking English, notice.
Hey guys, welcome to Bookish English. Today is my favorite topic, but also today's the topic that makes me a little bit anxious because we're going to talk about American pronunciation. And, I'm not a native speaker, but what I love doing is noticing how people talk, how they pronounce certain things, and then, just explaining them to myself. But of course, I'm not a professor in linguistics who knows every single detail, so the way I explain things on this channel is the way I hear them. But today, we actually have a native speaker and the teacher joining us. Her name is Angela. Some of you already know her because she teaches one of the courses on Bookish English Trip, Intermediate to Advanced. She has classes where she talks about American pronunciation and explains some of the nuances of American culture. And today, Angela is going to help me explain all of the different ways, oh my God, and there are so many, that you pronounce the letter T in English, because it can be a glottal stop, it can be a flappy, it can be a D, sometimes it almost sounds like an R. If you've been watching this channel, you know that there are so many ways how you can pronounce letter T. So, today, we're going deep on this topic. I am super excited to welcome Angela. Hey Marina, thank you so much for having me here today, and hello everyone, says Angela. Silky. Angela, my question is, how do we pronounce the letter T? The letter T is a really complex letter when it comes to pronunciation. And if you are learning English, you know that basically every letter is pretty complex in English. The true T sound is what most people learn right away, and that's a great place to start. So, you're just going to bring your tongue up to the roof of your mouth, and it's going to touch the inside of your top front teeth here. Sorry, I'm like in my mouth. All right. But you're going to bring your tongue up there, and then you're going to aspirate it. That's a great place to start. That is the true T sound. But there are such a variety of ways of saying the T, especially when we're speaking naturally. So, we're going to cover some of the basics today. Okay, let's start with the true T. How do we know if the word is pronounced with the true T? This is also so confusing. How do you know? Where is that sign from above that tells you, Marina, this is a true T and this is a flap T? So, the true T sound is just that regular pronunciation of T, like I mentioned before. And you use the true T sound usually when the word starts with the letter T. So, for example, top, 10, teacher, today, I take the test, top 10, top 20, whatever it is. So now, there are a bunch of exceptions, just like everything in English. For example, the consonant blend TR is going to be more of the CH sound combined with R. So for example, TRY is not going to be tarai, it's going to be try, travel. Not the true T sound, try, travel. If we're going to work together, you might want to try trusting me a little bit. But most words that start with T are going to be that true T sound. Now, it's not just if the word starts with T. Lots of times, if the stressed syllable of a word starts with T, we are also going to use the true T sound. Pretend, for example. In the word pretend, the stressed syllable starts with T, tend, pretend, right? So, we're going to use the true T sound, and then we can stop pretending like we have anything in common anymore. Hotel, until all of those words start the stressed syllable with T, we're going to use the true T sound. Until that time, there were three things that I was always afraid of: a job, a bust, and jail. The true T sound can also be used when there is a double T, like in the word attire. But be careful, because a lot of double T words will sound like a fast D. But attire is an example of a double T that sounds like a true T. What's the attire? Another word that I love for practicing the true T is tattoo. We have two true T sounds, TT and then to. Tattoo is a great word to practice when you're practicing the true T sound. So, our tattoo is registered in the criminal tattoo database. Another trick is when T comes after a consonant, except for the letter N. Okay? The letter N and the letter T have a little bit of a difficult relationship. But if a T comes after any other consonant, a lot of times it's going to be pronounced as the true T. For example, actor, doctor, empty. Okay, so we're going to be using the true T sound in those words. Marina, can you try to pronounce some words with the true T? Tell, taxes, attack, protect. Great. Tell, taxes, attack, protect. Makes sense, son. I pay taxes. You said something about aspirated. How about when the letter T is not aspirated? Okay, so this is called the held T. Some people call it the stop T. All right? And basically, you're going to do the same thing with your mouth as you would for the regular true T. Tongue to the roof of your mouth, touching the inside of your front teeth. What you're going to be doing here, though, is instead of releasing it, instead of aspirating it, instead of pushing air through, you're going to just stop. That's why it's called a stop T, right? You're not going to aspirate it. You're not going to push air through. So it's a little hard to distinguish for non-native speakers, because sometimes they might think that you're just not pronouncing the T, but we actually are. Let me give you some examples. Most of the time, the held T is going to be pronounced at the end of a word. Okay? So when a word ends in T, lots of times it'll be that held T. So, bought. My tongue is still up there, but I just didn't release it. I didn't say bought. I didn't say ba. I said bought. Not right? I'm not saying na, I'm saying not. Held T. It's not like that. I'm always a jerk. Maybe you should have thought of that before you built the big dumb thing. All right, Marina, your turn. Try these held T words: pot, Pot dot. Oh yeah, pot versus attack, right? Aspirated. Attack. Not aspirated. Pot, bet, cat. There you go, pot. I bet I can be one if I wanted. Okay, this is where I get confused a bit. Where is this difference between the held T and the glottal stop? Like, this is such a minor nuance that when I just listen to native speakers, I'm not really able to tell. But there is actually a difference. So let's dig deeper. Okay, honestly, Marina, this is a really good observation. Like, you being a little confused on this is totally normal. It can be kinda hard to differentiate between the held T and the glottal stop T. So, let me try to explain this as easily as possible. An example that you can always find, whether it be like, reading about pronunciation, hearing about it on TikTok, is uh-oh. All right, so when a child makes a mistake, a lot of times we will say, or they will say, uh-oh, oh no, uh-oh. That uh-oh is a perfect example of how to use the glottal stop. We aren't making the same mouth formation like we do for the true T or even the held T. It's coming from our throat. Uh-oh. So, say uh-oh slowly. Uh-oh. Uh-oh is a really, really great expression to help you practice the glottal stop. When do we use it? Now we use it before a weak syllable that ends in the N sound. So let's look at examples. This is going to help you a little bit. Eaten, eat-in. That T is followed by a weak N sound. So we are not going to say eaten. We're going to say eat-in. Eaten. Now listen, if I don't use the glottal stop, if I don't say any kind of T pronunciation, Ian, that does not work. It's eaten. We haven't eaten in 3 days. Let's look at some other ones with that weak N sound. Button, butt-in, curtain, Manhattan. My parents are in Manhattan right now. Miss you, number Manhattan. Written. Just push that button right there. Hey guys, you want me to tighten this? And another one for the glottal T. When a syllable ends in T and it is followed by a consonant sound, we're going to use the glottal stop. For example, football. I'm not saying football. Let's play football. Now I'm saying football. Okay, now some people think that the glottal stop. Remember that there's nothing there, but there is. If I didn't pronounce the T, it would be football. Let's play football. No, let's play football. What the word? What? Okay, when, especially when we're speaking, glottal stop. What? Witness. Witness, not witness. Witness. Put it back on the witness stand if you don't believe me. Certain mountain kitten, kitten, kitten. Good. Certain fountain, mountain, kitten. And I'm not certain you really understand this trade. What? Mountain bluebird. Now, sometimes Americans do not pronounce T at all when they're talking. I don't know if you've seen this TikTok, but it's basically a video. It says, if you are from California, you do not pronounce the letter T in major city names in California. And they give these examples, and Californians are reading the names of those cities out loud. There's Santa Monica, which is written with a T, and they're like, what? Sacramento, Santa Cruz, like in California, Monterey, Huntington, Sacramento. And this is super exciting. I love this TikTok. I love how it illustrates the T that is not pronounced, or like the word center, right? It sounds like there is no T at all. Angela, can you please explain? All right, exactly. Finally, we are at the silent T. A lot of people think the held T or the glottal stop T are silent, but they're not. But we do have times where we do not pronounce the T at all. I think silent letters are probably like the evil part of American English or any English pronunciation. So, let's look at the silent T. Usually, if the T comes after an N, we drop that T and we do not pronounce it. Center, center. No, it's not center. It's almost like we're spelling it C-E-N-N-E-R, center. I'll meet you in the center of town, not center. How many miles outside city center? Internet. Internet instead of internet, right? I use the internet to do research instead of I use the internet to do research. Internet. I don't know. I can't even say it with the T. All right. A lot of times with I don't know, we will say something like I don't know. Even with text speech, we will spell don't know, D-U-N-N-O. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you'll surprise yourself and end up having a good time. Also, when the T is in between two consonants, except for the letter R, all right? So, for example, Christmas. The T is in between two consonants, S and M. Christmas. We don't say Christmas, we say Merry Christmas. Christmas. It's not Christmas. Give me the facts. That could be kind of confusing sometimes, but luckily, we don't really use fax machines anymore. Okay, some people write, I don't know, but fax, F-A-C-T-S, so that would be a silent T. It's in between a C and an S, two consonant sounds. Fax. And it sounds exactly the same as F-A-X, F-A-X. Then we have something like just saying, right? I'm just saying. Maybe you should ask for help. Instead of saying, I'm just saying, maybe you should ask for help. We drop that T. We do not pronounce it. So just sounds like just, right? Just an S. I'm just saying. All right, now let's hear it in a sentence. Come on, just come to the party. I'm not saying come on, just come to the party. Just is followed by come, so that T is in between two consonants. It's in between the S and the C of come. So we're going to make it silent. Just come. Come on, just come to the party. Just come over here. Okay? Now there are times where you can see a combination of letters in a word and know that the T is silent. For example, S-T-E-N. Listen. We're not saying listen, silent T. Hustle, S-T-L-E. Lots of times words with S-T-L-E will have a silent T. Hustle, or F-T-E-N, silent T. Often, soften. I'm not saying often. I go to the park often. I go to the park often. Now, again, this will kind of depend on how people speak and their accents, etc. But try it out. Often. Something to soften the blow. Okay, one more thing about the silent T. Every single letter in the English alphabet at least has one word that it won't be pronounced in, okay? Even though it's written there, I think J is one of the ones that's really rare for it to be silent. But you will have something like a borrowed word from another language, like jalapeno. We'll say that with an H sound when we write it with a J. But anyway, T is going to be silent in some words. There might be words that are borrowed from other languages, etc. So, things like ballet, gourmet, we are not going to pronounce the T there. She's a ballet dancer. They love to be complimented. Discipline, printer, and no, there's pictures of them. Just a quick disclaimer, there are so many versions of English, honestly, and if somebody tells you 100% you have to pronounce internet and all of the other options are wrong, stop learning wrong English. This is not the way it works with the language, because a person who is from Great Britain would say internet. Internet is this on internet. So they would pronounce this D here. Angie is networking. So, with English, just like with anything in this life, be open to different ways people pronounce certain things. Okay, thank you, Angela. Now here's a big doubt a lot of non-native speakers have. T sounds like a D sometimes. And yes, because I've been living in the US for several years now, I started saying water, not water. Water. Almost like a D/R even. So what's the rule here? I actually love this one. This is called the flap T or the fast D, okay? The quick D. I'm gonna call it the quick D. All right, but it's called the flap T. This is when T sounds like a very quick D. Very big in American pronunciation. So when the letter T is in between two vowel sounds or diphthongs, all right, we're going to use that quick D. So, city, right? I'm not saying city. It's in between two vowel sounds, so quick D, city. Pretty, not pretty. Pretty. Beautiful. Nope, beautiful. Quick D. Now it's a quick D. I'm not saying beautiful. I'm not saying pretty. Let's go to the city. That's a hard D. It's a quick D. City. Pretty. Beautiful. This really is a beautiful city. Very important. Pay attention if the T is in between vowel sounds or a diphthong in a sentence. So, I caught a fish. Okay, caught is in between a diphthong, that T diphthong, and a vowel sound. So instead of I caught a fish, it's ikata, I caught a fish, or I gotta go. Right? This is a really popular way of speaking. So instead of saying I gotta go, we say gotta, G-O-T-T-A. We'll even write it like that, okay? Like informally, obviously, but gotta. I gotta go. I'm sorry, I gotta go work. And just be careful because sometimes, words will sound exactly the same, but one's written with a D and one with a T. So, for example, metal and metal. Both of them sound the same, but they are two different words. Or leader and leader sound the same, so be careful with vocabulary. You won't run into too many problems with that, though, but I would definitely suggest using that quick D and practicing it. Computer better. Great idea, great idea, great idea, great idea. Wait a second. Wait a second. It sounds like a great idea. I love Google Calendar. Okay, Angela, you were talking about TR before. What about TH? I'm gonna take an opportunity to shout out our new pronunciation guide, Pronunciation 2023, that Benya and I worked on, and the whole team. But the pronunciation of TH is really interesting. There are two different sounds for it, and Benya goes into detail in the letter T about TH. So let me kind of pull what we have in the guide and show you what we got about TH. So first, we have the voiced TH. Voiced means your vocal cords are going to vibrate, so you're going to put your tongue in between your teeth, and your vocal cords are going to vibrate when you aspirate the sound. So that's the voiced TH. Let's practice with some words from the guidebook now. This, though, Father, their gathering was ruined by the weather. Other than that, I'd rather not bother him. Well, I have one more story to type before I put it in the mail, but other than that, we're done. I love other than that for practicing that TH voiced. Other than that, other than that, other than that. Let's go on to the unvoiced TH sound, which means our vocal cords are not going to vibrate, so it's going to be thing. Thank you, pathetic. Admittedly, I do check his Facebook like every day and see if he's dating somebody maybe, which is so pathetic. I thought your 13th birthday was on Thanksgiving. He needs strength to get through Thursday's exam. Well, the thing is, I love you. Okay, so you can't always tell if a TH is going to be voiced or unvoiced, all right? But usually, the function words that we use in English are going to be voiced. For example, the, than, this, that, and lots of times, if they're not function words, they'll be unvoiced. Okay, thumb, think, thought. All right, but that's not always the case, so you can just start there, but keep in mind that that might change. One last thing before we stop talking about TH, all right? I want to look at two common mistakes with TH. The voiced TH, lots of English learners will pronounce it like a D. So instead of saying they, they'll say something like day. All right, so they went to the park might sound like day went to the park. So keep that in mind. It's not a D, it's they. Nothing has changed but the weather. Then we have the unvoiced. A lot of times, they will say it like a T, the true T sound. So they'll say something like thank you instead of thank you. Now, for American pronunciation, thank you is not correct, so we say thank you. But those are just some common mistakes. If you said thank you to me, I'm going to know that you're saying thank you. But if you want to practice American pronunciation, check out the As You Bring Your Awareness Back to Your Breath and leave you with this thought today. Angela, this is super helpful. Thank you so much. Any other tips you have for the letter T? Good question. So honestly, while we're here, I always love talking about ed endings whenever I'm talking about pronunciation with D or T, because this is a really common mistake. Ed endings are super important in English. Why? Because all of the regular verbs in the past simple or in their past participle forms have ed endings. So you're using the pronunciation of ed a lot in your speech. There are adjectives with ed endings too. I just want to talk about the verb ed endings. There are 3 different ways to pronounce ed endings, not one. All right? A lot of people think ed endings are pronounced ID, but it's pronounced ID or T or D. So I think it's a good idea to review that as much as possible. In the Pronunciation 2023 Handbook, there is an exercise for classifying ed endings. I think it's in letter D, but that's a really good thing to take note of when you are practicing verbs. Okay? in the past simple or their past participles. Everyone focuses on irregular verbs, but those ed endings, like when someone mispronounces that, it's kind of a dead giveaway that they're a non-native speaker, which is okay, but sometimes it could make communication difficult. So let's practice what I'm talking about. If a verb ends in T or D, the ed ending will be pronounced ID. Want ends in a T, wanted. Need ends in a D, needed. Pasted, painted. So if the verb ends in a T or a D, you're going to use that ID ending. Wanted. I never accepted that I had an illness. You know, I needed to do it. Now, things we're talking about T or D, okay? Pronunciations of ED. Sorry if this is confusing. Okay, let's talk about the T ending. If the verb ends in an unvoiced consonant sound, remember, unvoiced means your vocal cords are not vibrating. If it ends in an unvoiced consonant sound, you're going to say, for Ed, this takes practice. You know, just pay attention next time you hear someone speaking in your favorite show or in, a conversation. All right, are they saying ID or D for the ED? Let's look at some examples for T. Popped, walked, bluffed, laughed. I'm not saying laughed. I'm not saying laughed. I'm saying laughed. Laughed. Attached, mashed, crossed, danced, mixed. But I developed a system which rapidly transmits changes to every strand of DNA in the host's body. We've been very impressed with your portfolio and the exceptional commendations of your teachers. Now for D sounds. If the verb ends in a vowel sound or a voiced vibrating, a voiced consonant sound, we're going to pronounce ED with the D sound. Let's look at some vowel sound examples, okay? Employed, cried, clayed. At least I stayed at the post office. Now, let's look at some voiced consonant ones. Failed, cleaned. I'm not saying clean it or cleaned, I'm saying cleaned. When I went back to check it, someone had cleaned up the blood. Yeah, this is exactly how I imagined it. Answered, robbed, mugged, hummed, used, quizzed, lived. Not livid. That's another word, not livid. Lived. I wished I lived in that house. And like I mentioned before, when we're speaking naturally in conversation, many words are going to link together, so you have to pronounce things as a whole. When we're talking about a sentence, where is the T? What's coming after that T in the next word? The same goes with ED endings. For example, he popped in to say hi. All right, popped. After there is going to be that vowel sound, so a lot of times we're going to connect that T to the vowel sound. So, popped in. All right? Instead of he popped in, I'm going to say popped in. He popped in to say hi. I don't know, it just popped in my head. They walked around the park. They walked around the park. They walked around the park. They walked around. We're going to connect walked and around. They walked around the city for 2 weeks blindfolded. An excellent place to start practicing this is by putting it after an ED word. So, for example, we needed it. Instead of saying it separately, we needed it. We can combine it. Needed it. We needed it. Did it. We needed it. Where was all this confidence when you needed it in the audition? I attached it in the email. Attached it. Attached it. Instead of saying attached it. I attached it in the email. Attached it to the ribbon, and he ate it. She cleaned it already. It's so hard for me to even say it separately. So she cleaned it, right? We're gonna tag that it on. She cleaned it. Cleaned it. Cleaned it. All right, she cleaned it already. I cleaned it up really well. And Marina, I think that's it for me today with the pronunciation of the letter T. Okay, Angela, thank you. So much. What will be your biggest recommendation for all of the English language learners out there? Oh God, I could do a whole other video on this. There's a lot to say. I guess the first thing in regards to actual pronunciation would be to consider the sounds, not the letters, and consider sentences and where those letters are placed. Are they at the end of the word? Are they at the beginning of a word? That's going to influence pronunciation a lot, so pay attention to that. If you are having difficulty pronouncing a word on its own, maybe put it in a sentence and try to see how you can make it flow better with a sentence. Just try it out. It might work. That's probably my first tip. And then my second tip is a little bit more philosophical, I guess. But just be patient with yourself. I think, in my experience as a teacher, so many people are really worried about their pronunciation and their accent. And trust me, I'm learning different languages also, and the pronunciation can really get you down sometimes because you feel like you're stupid or that you're talking like an infant. No offense to infants, okay? But don't worry about it. You're going to get better just because you're interested in getting better, all right? And it takes time. Your accent is not ugly. I love accents. And English is one of those languages where there are so many different accents. It's not just American, British, or Australian. There are so many English language speakers. So just be patient. Be kind to yourself. Of course, learn and get better, but just take your time. Angela, thank you so much. That was super helpful. I hope everyone watching really got something from today's video and that you enjoyed it. I hope to see you guys soon, Marina. Thanks again. Thank you guys so much for watching this video up to the very end. Thank you so much for trusting this channel with your English language learning needs. Guys, please comment down below. Let us know if this video was helpful for you. Please do not forget to subscribe. Do not forget to share this class with everyone you know who wants to sound more American. Again, this is a process, guys, and just a couple words of encouragement. It's an endless process. I see so many people here in the U.S. who have been living here for 20 years, 30 years, and they're still working on their pronunciation. Like, this is something that people who were born here just learn as they grow. We have this additional task in our lives to master another language, and you should be proud of it. Don't get ashamed if you make any mistakes. They're fine. I sometimes punish myself for mispronouncing something, especially if I have a conversation with a native speaker. I mispronounce something, and like 5 seconds later, I realize I mispronounced something like, Marina, how bad. But I know, it doesn't really matter because we're building relationships here, not trying to be perfect in every single aspect. Thank you guys so much for watching this video up to the very end. Check out languageherb.com and see you very soon. Bye-bye. Hello, I am your storyteller, and today I will tell you about a very special topic, why personality is important. It's a story that involves friends like James, Amelia, Daniel, Mia, Robert, and many others. We will talk about how our personality shapes our lives, how it makes us stronger, and how we can improve it. James was a young boy living in a small town. He was kind and gentle, but often felt ignored by his classmates. Even though he was a bright student, he didn't have many friends. One day, his teacher, Ms. Charlotte, told him, "James, you have a good heart, but you need to show confidence in yourself. Your personality can make a difference in your life." James thought about her words deeply. One afternoon, James met Amelia, who was new to his school. She was shy, and her eyes looked sad. James asked her, "Why do you look so upset?" Amelia replied softly, "I don't fit in. People don't notice me." James remembered what Ms. Charlotte said and smiled at Amelia, saying, "You have a beautiful smile. Let's be friends and help each other." And just like that, they became good friends, supporting each other. Amelia and James worked on their personalities together. They started by looking in the mirror every day and smiling at themselves. They spoke kind words to their reflection, saying, "I am strong, I am smart, I am kind." These small words gave them the courage to face their fears. One day, when James was feeling low, Amelia said, "Remember our words. You are strong." James nodded, feeling a tear roll down his cheek, but this time it was a tear of hope. English was a big part of their journey to improve their personality. They practiced speaking English every day. James used to say, "Learning English helps us talk to more people. It opens doors and makes us feel confident." They read books and watched videos, learning new words and phrases that made them feel powerful. Daniel, their friend, joined them and said, "Hey, you guys are improving. I want to learn too." Together, they learned how to listen carefully, speak clearly, and understand others' feelings. They made small goals like talking to one new person every day or saying, "Thank you," with a smile. One day, Robert, another friend, said, "I was afraid to speak in front of the class, but after watching you, I feel I can do it too." Hearing this, James and Amelia felt so happy. They knew they were making a change. Amelia had a moment when she cried. She said, "I was once so alone, and now I have friends who believe in me." James gently put his hand on her shoulder and said, "It's because of your beautiful personality, Amelia. You made us all feel special." Amelia wiped her tears and said, "I never thought my smile could be so powerful." Our personality is like a light inside us. It can make us shine even on the darkest days. If you are kind, helpful, and strong, people will always remember you, just like how Daniel became more confident when he started helping others, or how Mia's laughter made everyone smile even when they were feeling low. Improving your personality is a journey, not a destination. It takes time, but you can start today by being kinder, speaking with a smile, and listening with your heart. Speak English to connect with the world, to share your thoughts, and to understand others. Remember, a simple hello can change someone's day. Think of times when you were sad, and a kind word made you smile. That's the power of a good personality. It touches hearts, makes friends, and builds a better world. When Thomas said to Amelia, "You helped me see the good in myself," Amelia felt like she was the happiest girl in the world. If you want to improve your personality, Start by believing in yourself. Use English as a tool to open your heart to the world. Talk to yourself in the mirror, read beautiful stories, watch inspiring videos, and most of all, be patient with yourself. Like Benjamin once said, it's okay to make mistakes. They help us grow. James, Amelia, and their friends continued to work on their personalities. They learned that being polite, honest, and cheerful made a big difference. Even when life was tough, they never gave up. And whenever they felt low, they used English to express their feelings, which helped them understand each other better. At the end of each day, James would say to his friends, "Let's keep growing, learning, and smiling." And they all knew that their journey of improving their personality was a journey of becoming better people. Amelia's journey with her friends did not stop there. Every day was a chance for them to learn something new about themselves and each other. One evening, when the sun was setting, they all sat together under a big tree in the park. Mia, who was usually quiet, spoke up. She said, "You know, I used to think that I was just a small person in a big world, but now I feel like I have a voice, like I matter." James smiled at Mia and said, "That's because you found your confidence. Your personality is like a flower. It blooms when you care for it." Mia felt a tear of joy, knowing that her friends saw the real her, the person she always wanted to be. As the days went by, they helped each other become more confident in speaking English. James used to say, "English is not just a language, it's a key that can open many doors in life." They practiced by telling each other stories in English. They laughed at their mistakes, corrected each other with kindness, and grew stronger in their skills. Daniel shared a memory from his past when he was so nervous about speaking in front of his class that his hands shook. He said, "I felt so alone that day, but now, with all of you by my side, I feel like I can stand up and speak to the world." His words made everyone emotional, and they all realized how far they had come together. One rainy day, Amelia was feeling sad. She told her friend Ava, "Sometimes I still feel like I'm not good enough, like I don't belong." Ava held her hand gently and said, "Amelia, you belong with us. You are more than enough. Your personality lights up our lives." Amelia's eyes filled with tears, but this time they were tears of love and gratitude. She hugged Ava and whispered, "Thank you for believing in me." The group decided to set small challenges for themselves to improve their personality. They promised to do one kind thing every day, like helping someone in need or saying a kind word to a stranger. William, who had always been a bit shy, took the first step. He gave a heartfelt compliment to a new student in their class. The smile on the new student's face made William feel like he had won a big prize. John, another friend in the group, shared his tip. He said, "I used to struggle with my thoughts, but then I started writing them down in English. It helped me understand myself better." His words touched everyone's heart. Writing in English became their new way to express their feelings, to let out their worries, and to celebrate their little victories. One day, while they were sitting in the park, Robert looked up at the sky and said, "You know, our personality is like the sky. Sometimes it's sunny, sometimes it's cloudy, but it's always there. We just need to keep believing in ourselves." His words were simple, but filled with so much meaning that everyone felt a warmth in their hearts. Amelia thought about the days when she used to be afraid to speak up. She remembered the tears she shed, thinking she was not good enough, but now, surrounded by her friends, she felt like she could do anything. She turned to James and said, "Thank you for helping me see the best in myself." James smiled and replied, "We helped each other. That's what friends do." The journey of improving their personality was not always easy. There were days when they felt like giving up, when the world seemed too big and their problems too heavy. But they never stopped encouraging each other. They learned that real strength comes from within, from believing in who they are. Michael, one of their friends, shared his biggest lesson. He said, "The most important thing I've learned is to love myself. If I don't love myself, how can I expect others to love me?" His words touched a deep part of everyone's heart, and they all nodded in agreement. And then there was a day when Charlotte, who had always been the happiest in the group, broke down in tears. She said, "I always try to be strong, but sometimes I feel like I'm breaking inside." Everyone gathered around her, comforting her, reminding her that it's okay to cry, to feel weak, because that's what makes them human. Learning English helped them in these moments too. It gave them the words to say when they didn't know how to express their feelings. It helped them write letters to each other to say, "I'm here for you," in a way that touched the heart. Paul, who was the poet of the group, wrote a short poem in English about friendship. It said, "When the night is dark and the road is long, I'll be your light. I'll keep you strong." Day by day, their personalities grew brighter, like stars shining in the night sky. They learned that a good personality is not just about looking good or speaking well. It's about being kind, being real, and never giving up on yourself. It's about helping others see the best in themselves, just like how James and Amelia helped each other. As their story goes on, they know that they will face many challenges in life, but now they have the strength, the confidence, and the heart to face them. They know that their journey of improving their personality will never truly end. It's a path they will walk on for the rest of their lives, learning, growing, and becoming the best version of themselves. What do you think makes a personality truly beautiful? Is it kindness, honesty, or the way we treat others? Let me know your thoughts, and let's keep this story going together.